c.199x Nicole Cattaruzza. I'm just thinking about this. I just took a photo of my son's elementary school within city limits, New York City limits, even though I'm on something called a Long Island, and I'm separated from Manhattan, Staten Island, and the Bronx. There's some confusing jurisdiction. It's confusing for me anyway. Now, I'm thinking back to when I was a teenager. Like, Alexander came yesterday with Benjamin and Daniel for dinner. And I'm thinking back to when I was as beautiful and innocent as he was. Because he has a different personality than Dan and Benjamin. And so it reminds me that within that school year out in Long Island, but out Suffolk County, because on the island, I hear there's a Suffolk somewhere else. I just don't know where, and I don't know what it pertains to. When I speak Suffolk, it's the end of Long Island by like Montauk. And it's the county that I lived within that I loved more than anything. It's the only part of Long Island I feel that is not tainted by shit. Although it's turning, but whatever. So when I lived out in Huntington, I lived in Cold Spring Harbor, 1 year in school, they said that we had to volunteer, which I was all for. I just didn't know how or what to volunteer for. So they had to give us a list of places, and they assigned us where to go. So my volunteer project, I got to do Meals on Wheels, and I got assigned to some church in Huntington Station. I think it was Huntington Station. It was because I had worked in Huntington. I could ride my bike from my house to again, they called it drugstore, but that gives the wrong image. It was more of like a convenience store where they had shampoo and like a commissary, I suppose you could say. All different, like a bazaar, all different things, but shampoos, soaps, things of convenience that you would need. But they called it a pharmacy or a drugstore. That's the word Lynn used. But I had no handling of pharmaceutical goods whatsoever. That was a different counter. They had to have degrees for that. I worked the front register for the shampoos and stockings and things, socks and whatever that they sold. But my point is that when there was a part of Huntington called Huntington Station, which was even further away that I had never heard of, because again, I didn't have a car and I was on foot or bike, and I didn't go out exploring where I wasn't wanted. I was just one child with no brothers or sisters and no parents that knew the neighborhood. They didn't grow up there. I met this man. Lou had to drop me off at a church. I met a man who drove a white van, and we went around to motels, which I'd never even heard of that phrase before. It was a vocabulary lesson, but it was also a life lesson, because I did not know that there were people that lived in motels. And he called them a word transient, like they moved around a lot. And the church was somehow part of making sure while they were here, they had a place to stay. I mean, again, it goes through, like, the criminality of what to do with these people. Like, they're here. I don't want them breaking into houses, so if they get a room, does it keep crime down? That's one question that I've not gotten the answer to. Then if they give them hot meals, does it keep down break-ins in the area from them breaking in and stealing other people's belongings to then make money for food for themselves? Again, I mean, like, this is a seedy side of humanity, but this was the volunteer project that they assigned me to. And so when we went to deliver these meals, I would have to go up to the door, knock, and then hand them the tray. And they did not look familial. Like, I could not place where they originated from. I had no idea where in the world they left to come to stay in this spot in Huntington through this Catholic charity organization or through this church organization of some sort. Some of them didn't even speak English, but I didn't know what they spoke, because I had never heard it before. So that was interesting. But then that brings me to now, if those people, just if one stayed, let's say, and now it's been over 30 years, I mean, it's been around 25 years at least, that they would have been within here, they could have figured out a lot of things and could have somehow designed some kind of system more familiar to them, and it could have caused more problems within Long Island's borders, just based on the one volunteer work in in high school in my junior year. But again, there was a man in the van. He drove the van. He was the one in charge of the van. And he was the one who was educating me on a different lifestyle, or people who were exposed to a different life than I was in that year, in the 1990s. Flash forward. That was what Suffolk County looked like in a more slow lifestyle, a slow leak, LEAK, of perforated ostomy and colon. That was what our bag looked like. The bag in the New York City area looks like somebody took a knife and just put a hole and cut, and it just perforate, like laceration in entirety. It's really scary. Everything here seems to move like really, really fast, and so I did before, like, thinking to myself, I had to leave Cold Spring Harbor, Suffolk County, to come back to the city in my senior year, the year after what I saw in Suffolk and my volunteer position, because Lou lost his business in Roslyn, which was Nassau County, somewhere in between. So the high school I registered for was St. John's Prep in Astoria. What I don't understand is, the high school knew I was coming in from Suffolk County, being a much different ostomy and a different, almost non-essential preparation. When I landed in Queens, why was there not like a designated presidential child representative assigned to me to teach me Homeland Security for my Roosevelt presidential situation that I'm adorned with on my face, along with the currency and the South Dakota National Monumental Piece of Founders for presidential and history in this North America? Why was I not given a representative from gang unit or ICE unit or NYPD to say, listen, kid, I'm going to follow you around for the year or whatever because I know you're not prepared for what these kids already know. They're already learning systems, how to get around the systems, what the systems look like, how to take advantage of the systems. And I was already unprepared. Because when I got to the city, I got nothing. I got a regular, vanilla class schedule and then shoved out into the world to be forgotten about. Like I didn't even fucking matter. And that's where I've remained. Is just in this almost like riptide of being drawn out, washed, and then thrown over Carl in order to get scraped up and just totally ignored and shit on. It really sucks to be a New Yorker. Star 1978, Star 8378, Nicole Cattaruzza. It's Earth, Solar System, Milky Way, Universe, Galaxy is broken. I don't think it's too difficult if somebody actually gave a shit about preserving the government and the land and the system that keeps everyone safe. I don't think it's too much to ask for a class to keep oneself safe and within the limits of what's here, to know visual cues and where to call out for the coaches union of whatever keeps background area safe. It's not too much to ask for. And I don't understand why it's not provided, because I would happily participate within a system if some system actually existed that was offered to me. It's Bayside Station, Bayside, New York, 11361. It's December 20th, 2021.